Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. The ties that bind and break. In the twilight of 19th century Moscow, the first rays of dawn cast a golden hue through the heavy drapes of Stepan Arkadyevich Oblonsky's study. The room, a sanctuary of mahogany and leather-bound books, echoed with the rhythmic tap of his pen as he navigated a sea of documents. Oblonsky, a high-ranking bureaucrat known for his affable nature, found himself ensnared in a tempest of his own vices, his thoughts consumed by the repercussions of his recent affair. "Stiva, you cannot delay this confrontation with Dolly," implored Matrona Filimonovna, the steadfast housekeeper, her voice carrying the weight of years spent within the family's confidences. "She has spent the night in tears." With a heavy heart, Oblonsky, affectionately dubbed Stiva by his peers, acknowledged the gravity of his misdeeds. "I am aware, Matrona. Yet the thought of facing her fills me with dread," he confessed, his usual charisma shadowed by remorse. The solemn atmosphere was pierced by the arrival of Anna, Stiva's sister, whose elegance and resolve were a stark contrast to the disorder around her. "Brother, I hastened here upon receiving your message," she declared, her tone a blend of reprimand and compassion. Rising to greet her, Stiva found solace in her embrace. "Anna, your presence is a balm to my turmoil," he admitted, his voice laced with relief. Anna, perceptive and decisive, met her brother's gaze, her eyes reflecting a shared understanding of life's complexities. "Self-pity will not serve us now, Stiva. It is time to repair the fractures," she asserted, ready to guide him through the storm. In stark contrast, the pastoral tranquility of the countryside enveloped Konstantin Dmitrievich Levin, a man of the land whose soul was intertwined with the rolling fields of his estate. Yet within his modest study his thoughts were adrift, captivated by the visage of Kitty Sherbatsky, the woman who had captured his heart. Resolute, Levin whispered to the empty room, "I shall ask for her hand in marriage," his determination mounting with each stride. Sergei Ivanovich, Levin's brother, entered, his expression one of gentle understanding. "Konstantin, your restless pacing betrays your inner turmoil. Is it Kitty who occupies your thoughts?" Halting, Levin faced Sergei, his features a canvas of hope and apprehension. "Indeed, Sergei. I intend to propose, yet I fear rejection," he confided, his voice tinged with vulnerability. With a reassuring smile, Sergei Ivanovich offered a comforting presence. "Konstantin, your worth is beyond measure. Kitty seeks not the superficial but a kindred spirit," he counseled, instilling courage in his brother. As dusk approached, Levin steeled himself for the journey to Moscow, driven by the unwavering flame of his affection for Kitty. Meanwhile, in the heart of the city, the Arkadyevich residence was a maelstrom of hushed turmoil. Dolly, Stiva's wife, sat ensconced in the parlor, her visage marred by sorrow. Anna approached with a gentle demeanor, her smile a beacon of empathy. "Dolly, let us converse," Anna proposed, her touch a gesture of solidarity. Dolly, her countenance a tapestry of indignation and grief, met Anna's gaze. "What words are left, Anna? I have been betrayed," she lamented, her voice a whisper of despair. Anna, moved by Dolly's plight, held firm to the belief that forgiveness could bridge the chasm of betrayal. "Humans err, Dolly. Stiva's contrition is genuine. Might we not discover a path to absolution and a new beginning?" she entreated, her conviction clear. As night fell, Levin embarked on his quest to Moscow, his aspirations for Kitty's hand guiding him through the encroaching darkness. Back within the city's embrace, Anna and Stiva engaged in a dialogue fraught with honesty and resolve. "Transparency is imperative, Stiva. Deceit has no place here," Anna implored. Stiva, his resolve solidifying, acquiesced. "I shall be forthright, Anna. I am prepared to undertake all necessary amends," he vowed, his eyes alight with purpose. in the intricate dance of familial bonds and the pursuit of love. Anna, Stiva, and Levin each navigated their personal maelstroms. Bound by kinship and driven by the heart's desires, their journeys would weave through perilous and redemptive paths. A proposal amidst turmoil. In the grand ballroom of the Eshcherbatsky estate, the air was thick with anticipation. Kitty, adorned in a gown, caught sight of Levin. He approached her, a determined look in his eyes betraying the hope he carried within. "Kitty," Levin began, his voice steady but laden with emotion, "I must speak with you. It's about something quite dear to my heart." As Kitty met Levin's gaze, her thoughts were a whirlwind. Levin is so genuine, so earnest, she thought. But Vronsky, he's like a dream I'm afraid to wake from. Yes, Konstantin Dmitrievich, she replied, her voice a reflection of her inner turmoil. Levin's hands were steady as he reached for hers. "My life, my future, I see them with you. Kitty, will you marry me?" Vronsky stepped forward, his presence commanding. "May I have this dance?" he asked, offering his hand. Kitty, caught in the gravity of the moment, placed her hand in Vronsky's. "I'm sorry, Konstantin Dmitrievich," she murmured as they moved to the music. Levin watched, his expression one of quiet resignation. He had offered his heart, only to stand alone once more. As the dance ended, Kitty returned to him. "Konstantin Dmitrievich, I cannot accept your proposal," she said softly. "My heart is unsure. I need time." Levin nodded. "I understand, Kitty. Take all the time you need," he replied, his voice hiding the depth of his disappointment. As Kitty rejoined the dance, Levin retreated into the night, his heart heavy with the weight of unrequited love. The proposal had ended not with a union, but with a silent acknowledgement that love's timing cannot be forced. The spark of forbidden love. In the grand halls of Moscow, Anna Karenina's presence was noted with a customary reverence. On one particular evening, amidst a gathering where the elite of society mingled, Anna found herself inadvertently locking eyes with Vronsky. Their brief exchange was polite and guarded, a mere formality in the sea of social niceties. Vronsky's subtle admiration did not escape Anna, yet she remained poised, her responses measured and her demeanor composed. The undercurrents of their mutual attraction were left unspoken, acknowledged only in fleeting glances and half-finished sentences. Later, as Anna retired for the night, the day's events replayed in her mind. She was acutely aware of the burgeoning connection with Vronsky, a sentiment that was both exhilarating and disconcerting. Despite the societal constraints and personal obligations that loomed over her, Anna found herself at the precipice of a decision that could alter the course of her life. The chapter closed with Anna on the cusp of the unknown, her future hanging in the balance. The strain of societal shackles. In the verdant expanses of his estate, Levin supervised the laborers, the sun casting a golden glow over the fertile land. The earthy aroma of the soil under the warm sky was a testament to the day's hard work. He paused to admire the vastness of his domain, a welcome respite from the intricacies of urban aristocracy. A familiar voice disrupted his contemplation. Sergei Ivanovich approached, waving a letter with a wry smile. "News from Stiva," he announced, handing it to Levin. Levin, his fingers marked by the day's toil, opened the letter, anticipating news from his old friend Stepan Arkadyevich. Transitioning to the grandeur of Moscow, Anna Karenina was ensnared in a whirlwind of emotional conflict. In the solitude of her chamber, she grappled with a love that defied societal norms, her anticipation for Vronsky's visit tinged with the anxiety of forbidden passion. Upon Vronsky's arrival, their eyes met in silent understanding. The unspoken words between them spoke volumes of a resolution forming amidst the chaos of their clandestine affair. As dusk settled over the countryside, Levin and Sergei Ivanovich retired to the study, engaging in a spirited debate that veered into uncharted territories of existential musings. Their dialogue, enriched by the day's events, explored the essence of individual purpose beyond the confines of societal expectations. The narrative seamlessly weaves between the pastoral serenity of Levin's estate and the opulent unrest of Moscow, each scene transitioning smoothly into the next, painting a vivid tableau of contrasting worlds. The crisis of the heart. In the quiet of his study, Levin sat, contemplating. The moonlight streamed through the window, illuminating the scattered papers and books that surrounded him. His thoughts were not on the estate's productivity, but on a deeper connection with the land and those who tended it. In a grand Moscow house, Anna Karenina paced in the drawing room, her heart heavy with the secrecy of her affair and the fear of societal repercussions. Vronsky entered, concern on his face. "Anna, my dear, you look troubled," he said, taking her hands. Anna met his gaze, her eyes reflecting a storm of emotions. They spoke of matters close to the heart, their conversation filled with unspoken understanding. Levin, meanwhile, remained in his study, lost in thought. He pondered over the bond he shared with his land and the people, seeking a way to unite them. Anna and Vronsky, aware of the complexities of their situation, shared a moment of silent communion, acknowledging the bond they shared and the uncertain path that lay before them. Love's labor found. In the grand drawing room of Stepan Arkadyevich's Moscow home, the air was filled with a mix of anticipation and the subtle aroma of roast beef and asparagus. The room, usually echoing with laughter and chatter, was unusually quiet. Levin, dressed in his finest suit, felt his heart pounding as he glanced around the room. His eyes searched for Kitty, who was conversing quietly with her sister, Madame Lova. Her light blue dress made her stand out like a serene lake on a summer day. "Kitty," Levin called out softly as he approached her. Kitty turned, her eyes meeting his. "Konstantin," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Levin felt the weight of the eyes upon them but remained silent, his earlier resolve melting away in the face of the moment's gravity. The evening wore on, the guests mingled, and the conversation flowed. Levin and Kitty, each preoccupied with their own thoughts, occasionally exchanged glances, their futures yet uncertain. The dinner, symbol of societal expectations, continued as an ordinary gathering, marked by the usual customs and courtesies of such events. Levin, surrounded by the warmth of family and friends, pondered the complexities of his feelings, his heart seeking a path through the maze of societal norms and personal desires. The price of passion. The silence of the room was punctuated only by the occasional pop and hiss from the fireplace. In the newly rented St. Petersburg apartment, a stark contrast to the opulent Moscow estate they had left behind, Anna sat motionless, a letter in her hand. It was a decree of divorce from Alexei Alexandrovich, granting her freedom at the cost of her son, Seryozha Dodon. Vronsky approached with a quiet step. "Anna," he began, his voice betraying his concern, "you mustn't let despair consume you." She looked up, her resolve flickering like the firelight. "He demands Seryozha as the price for my freedom," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We'll navigate this storm together," Vronsky replied, his assurance unwavering. "There's a way forward, I'm certain of it." Anna's thoughts turned to the future, to the uncertainty of the path she had chosen. Yet as Vronsky's arms enfolded her, she felt a surge of determination. They would carve out a new life, one where the shadows of scandal could not reach them. In that moment, a knock at the door broke the stillness. A telegram had arrived, bearing news that would set the course of their lives in a direction none could have predicted. Divergent paths. In the quiet of the countryside, Levin and Kitty stood side by side, their hands intertwined. The sun dipped low, casting a warm glow over the fields that stretched out before them. "Kitty," Levin began, "I never imagined I could be this happy." Meanwhile, in the bustling city, Anna found herself in Vronsky's arms, the world around them a blur of motion and color. "Do you ever regret it?" she whispered. "Not for a single moment," Vronsky replied. "My only regret is the pain we've caused." Anna nodded, their choices setting them on a course apart from the rest. A divergent path that led to whispers and sideways glances. Yet in Vronsky's embrace, she found a love that defied convention. As the sun set on the horizon, the paths of these characters diverged, each a reflection of the human experience, each a story of what it means to love and to live.